Welcome into another edition of Oklahoma Sports Scene. I am not Chris Lincoln. Normally I'm on the other side of the camera. I am Michael Knight, the director and editor of Oklahoma Sports Scene. But while Chris is in Oklahoma City getting inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, again, congratulations, Chris. I'm here with a Prep Redzone Takeover. For those of you who aren't as familiar with my work, other than Oklahoma Sports Scene, I run Prep Redzone Oklahoma. We cover high school football in the state of Oklahoma 24/7, 365, and with the high school football season opening up in just 2 short weeks, fall camp has gotten underway this week. I'm here with a high school football preview, and we got a heck of a preview coming up for you today. Let's take a look at this week's show lineup. First up are the Bixby Spartans, the reigning state champions. The Bixby Spartans in 6A1, their head coach Loren Montgomery joins the program live here on our set. In 6A2, the number 1 team are the Muskogee Roughers, and their head coach Travis Hill joins the program to talk about how they went from 2-8 back in 2021 to 10-2 last year to now a state championship contender. Next up is Mike Dunn, the head coach of the Carl Albert Titans, and he'll be joined by his star running back Xavier Robinson, who was our player of the year last year. And then we round things up with Wagner head coach Dale Condick. The Bulldogs are defending state champions once again, and Coach Condick joins the program to talk about how they're shaping up heading into the 2023 season. Chris is on this week's edition of Oklahoma Sports Scene with Dale Day, who will join us at the end of the show for their Remington Park preview for the upcoming season there in Oklahoma City. But here on Oklahoma Sports Scene, at least in this first segment, I'm taking a big picture look at the upcoming high school football season. It's going to be a fantastic one, and it's only 2 short weeks away. We got week 0 coming up. Of course, the season's going to be kicked off on that Thursday with the annual matchup. Now it's annual. Bixby and Owasso, they met in the state championship game last year. They kicked the season off against each other last season as well in the Battle of the Burbs at TU. So that game's going to kick us off to start a very busy and very chaotic 2023 football season. Let's take a look at the preseason rankings that were released on Prep Redzone Oklahoma back on June 30th. And that kicked off a July stretch where we published 100 team previews. So I encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to check out Prep Redzone Oklahoma to see all of those team preview coverage. Over 100 previews now up on the website, including every single team that's ranked in our preseason rankings. We kick off our preseason rankings with a look at 6A1, and there you see the top 5, and there's a lot of normal and usual suspects there at the top. Bixby, Union, Jenks, and Owasso are your top 4 teams. The Spartans, in my opinion, are the favorites coming into this season, and it's not just because they won the gold ball last year. I love what they have on their offensive line. Their defense on the front 7 is going to be special as well. I like what Bixby has there. Union and Jenks, it's a coin flip for me between who the next team in 6A1 is. They're incredibly talented. In 6A2, the top-ranked team is Muskogee coming into this season. The Roughers have reloaded for another run this fall. Right behind them is Choctaw at number 2, Stillwater, the defending champions, at number 3. But they're going to look quite different, not only with a new head coach, but they have to replace a lot off of last year's state championship team. Rounding out the top 5, you have Deer Creek and Sand Springs, both teams that I think can be dark horses in 6A2 this season. And then you look at Class 5A, and this is a class that's interesting to me just because I think that it's incredibly talented. But Carl Albert is so far and above everybody else in this class. Now, that's giving bulletin board material for the 31 other teams in Class 5A. But when you look at Carl Albert from top to bottom, talent-wise, this is a very special team that they have coming into this season. Del City, their mid-Del rival, is certainly going to have something to say about that. Guthrie, a district foe of Carl Albert, is also in the top 5, as well as Elgin and Sapulpa. I think Sapulpa can be a team that surprises quite a few people here in 2023. In Class 4A, defending champion Wagner tops the rankings, followed by Poto, Blanchard, Tuttle, and Weatherford. I think that Class 4A remains the same over the last several years. It's been a usual suspects doing the most of the damage in 4A. I think that remains the same this year. Class 3A, it's been dominated by private schools over the last several years. I don't see that changing. Heritage Hall is number 1, followed by Lincoln Christian, Sulphur, Perkins Tryon, and Marlowe round out the top 5. In Class 2A, You have the two teams that met in the championship game a year ago. I think that we could see a rematch this year with Washington and Millwood. Rounding out the top 5 is Jones, Idabelt, and Victory Christian. And then finally in Class A, I like Colcord out in eastern Oklahoma to make plenty of noise this year. They're followed by Hominy, who has one of the best players in the state in Jackson Woods. Fairview, the defending champion, is number 3. Wynnewood, number 4. And Woodland is number 5. Also on Prep Redzone Oklahoma, you can check out a bunch of 8-man coverage as we're diving in to Class B and Class C this year as well. When we come back here on Oklahoma Sports Scene, I'm going to be joined by our first of many coaches here on this high school football preview edition of Oklahoma Sports Scene. Up next is Bixby head coach Loren Montgomery right here from Bricktown Brewery on 71st.
There are 3 things you need to know about Bricktown Brewery. We never stop obsessing over the quality of our fresh, made-from-scratch food. From pizza and burgers to salad and seafood, there's something for everyone. Our beer selection is second to none. Between handcrafted Bricktown beers and local craft favorites, you're sure to find one you'll love. We can't wait to serve you. Great food, local beer, and truly friendly service. Bricktown Brewery, we love what we do, and it shows.
As the sun rises over eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
The Remington Park Thoroughbred season has plenty of winning action with many big stakes dates set for you on the calendar. The richest race of the season is on the only Sunday of the season, Oklahoma Derby Day, September 24th. The Grade 3 $400,000 Derby headlines a brilliant card that also features the Grade 3 $200,000 Remington Park Oaks. The Derby Day program begins at 3 p.m. and features the annual wine tasting festival along with a hat and tie style contest. Remington Park's Oklahoma Derby Day, Sunday, September 24th, 3 p.m.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. It's the Prep Redzone Takeover here for our high school football preview show. I'm Michael Knight filling in for Chris Lincoln, who is in Oklahoma City right now as we speak, getting inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. And I'm sitting next to a guy that is probably on his way there, if we're being honest. He's the head coach of the Bixby Spartans, Loren Montgomery. And Coach, first, let's talk about this offseason before we talk a little football in the upcoming year. Has this offseason felt any different? I know that Bixby at this point, it's a well-oiled machine. Year in and year out, you guys are in contention every single year, but now you don't have the questions of moving up to 6A1. You've been there, done that already. A lot of questions last season about the winning streak. That came to an end last year. Didn't stop you guys from winning another title. Did this offseason feel any different at all?
I don't know that it felt a lot different. Each offseason we sit down as a staff and we take a look at our program and ways that we feel like we can make it better. The coaches will do a book study, and it might be something as simple as maybe a little bit better player accountability. It might be adding a strength and conditioning class for a particular grade. It might be refining a protocol in the weight room, or maybe studying a particular staff in the off season. But I would say that happens each year, and you just kind of start looking at ways that you're going to fill some of the gaps for the seniors that left from the year before.
Let's talk about this year's team as we start fall camp this week. I know a big question mark for the Spartans coming into this year offensively was the quarterback position. Last year you played 2 quarterbacks in Austin Havens and Connor Kirby. This year you have a battle going on. Is there a quarterback, or might we see a 2-quarterback system again in 23?
Well, my answer to that is we learned a lot about ourselves last year and some of the things that we like to do. In order to get talent on the field. Our offensive coordinator, Tyler Schneider, says a lot of times, we don't just play with one running back. So if we got 2 talented guys, why wouldn't we play both of those guys? And so that's something that we've been working on developing, and I would expect you to see the Bixby Spartans play 2, 3, maybe even 4 quarterbacks throughout the season and have multiple quarterbacks on the field at different times.
Well, whoever that quarterback is, I know one thing for sure. He's going to have some guys up front blocking for him. Your offensive line unit as a whole, in my opinion, is one of the better units. Brody Duffel, Evan McClure. You had a move in from Missouri who looked the part, at least physically. You're obviously a guy who has a background with the offensive line position. In your opinion, as a unit, this is a pretty strong one.
Yeah, we've got some returning experience, as you mentioned. Brody Duffel's a 3-year starter. Evan McClure will be a 2-year starter. Peyton Hawkins has just had an unbelievable offseason and had a great year as a returning starter. And then we've got a couple other guys, seniors, Alfonso Villasenor, who has really put together a good offseason, Nate England, and some guys up front that are vying for playing time. And so kind of excited to see how that pans out, but feel like we have a good group and a group that's going to be ready to be physical and get out on the field.
And then on the other side of the ball, defensively, last year the strength was in the secondary as that front seven was relatively young. This year it's flipped where the front seven has the majority of the experience. You have to replace some really, really standout players in the secondary, but that linebacker group that you have on defense, you know, Hank Puckett, Sam McCormick, Cord Nolan, the youngster who started last year as a freshman, or got plenty of playing time as a freshman, that's a group that has a lot of people excited.
Yeah, as you mentioned it, last year we didn't know what we were going to be like up front because we had graduated all front seven guys. Well, this year it's the opposite. We've graduated all four of our back end guys. Actually, we had 5 Division I defensive backs last year when you look at our group as a whole. So that's always going to be tough. You know, those guys, you talk about Dylan Haas and Kel Fugate and Jacob Snyder and Tyson Williams, just guys that had played a lot of snaps, excellent athletes, top end speed, ferocious tacklers. And so now we're gonna look to some younger guys to step in, and we feel like some of the guys have had a good offseason, but we never know till we actually get out there on Friday nights.
One thing that this part of the year always brings are expectations and wondering, you know, what can we see this season? At this time last year, maybe not a lot of people knew about the name Hank Puckett or Sam McCormick or even Cordell Goldsby, who was a newcomer to the Spartans last year, had a fantastic season on the offensive side of the ball. This year, who are some of those names that maybe fans don't know about yet, but by the time district play rolls around, by the time the playoffs roll around, they're going to be some of the big, you know, key parts of this team?
Yeah, so a guy that's had a really good offseason that we're excited about, both at safety and quarterback, is Clay Peters. He's done a really good job. And then, you know, you mentioned Cordell Goldsby. He's going to have a bigger role this year, bigger role on both sides of the ball. We'll play some corner, and then obviously we're going to get him a lot of touches. And then Colton Kaiser, been in the program a long time, had an older brother, Christian Kaiser, that played for us last year. They know him as Cowboy Creech, but Colton is his little brother and started a couple games with some injuries last year, and so he's going to do good stuff. I'd say a guy to take a look for in the outside at wide receiver is Blake Hogshooter. He's a big, lanky, fast wide receiver. He's doing some good stuff as well.
We'll get you out of here with a very open-ended question. It's August, so we have to talk about December, right? The Spartans coming off another state championship. You've won, 8 out of the last 9 years. And one storyline coming into this season is Bixby can become the first program in state history to make it to 10 consecutive state championship games. If that happens, what happens this fall?
Well, that's news to me. So
I did the research.
Yeah, in order to get there and to be playing that first weekend in December, we're going to have to figure out our identity. You know, on the back end, are we going to be able to cover people? Are we going to be able to stop the run? Those things. And then from an offensive perspective, you know, what do we look like at the quarterback position? What are we going to be good at? And those are all things that give coaches heartburn this time of year. But I know that we've got an excellent staff, and those guys are going to be working to put our kids in the best position to win, moving forward and headed into this 0 week that's just 17 days away.
Yeah, it's wild, Coach, that we're going to be at TU before we know it for the Battle of the Burbs, the annual, now becoming an annual rivalry game with a loss, so it should be a fun one. Thanks for sitting down with us today.
Yep.
And looking forward to seeing what the Spartans look like in 2023.
Absolutely. Thank you.
He's Loren Montgomery. As I said, probably a future Hall of Famer. head coach of the Bixby Spartans. Coming up next, we continue our coaching carousel with coaches coming in with Muskogee head coach Travis Hill. The Ruffers look like the top team in 6A2. Can they get it done and raise a gold ball? We'll talk with Coach Hill next here on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Tulsa Oilers hockey at the BOK Center, the ultimate experience of hockey and entertainment. Save big on season tickets today. Full season tickets starting as low as $17 per month for all 36 home games. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers hockey.
There are 3 things you need to know about Bricktown Brewery. We never stop obsessing over the quality of our fresh, made-from-scratch food. From pizza and burgers to salad and seafood, there's something for everyone. Our beer selection is second to none. Between handcrafted Bricktown beers and local craft favorites, you're sure to find one you'll love. We can't wait to serve you. Great food, local beer, and truly friendly service. Bricktown Brewery, we love what we do, and it shows.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
Tulsa Bone and Joint, Northeast Oklahoma's sports medicine experts. We are pleased to help you and the athletes in your life with a number of surgical and non-surgical options. Tulsa Bone and Joint is proud to serve as team orthopedist for local high schools such as Broken Arrow, Owasso, Sapulpa, Cascia Hall, and Bishop Kelly. We're also proud to be team orthopedist for FC Tulsa. Tulsa Bone and Joint, moving life forward.
And we welcome you back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. It is our high school football preview show. I'm Michael Knight filling in for Chris Lincoln. He's down in Oklahoma City getting inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. And I'm glad to be joined now by maybe a future Hall of Famer himself, the head coach of the Muskogee Ruffers, Travis Hill, as we continue our look at the upcoming high school football season. And Coach, I want to start where this program is right now compared to where you were 2 years ago at this time. Before the 2021 season, you take over this program, and then you go 2-8 in that first year. But then last season, it's an unbelievable turnaround, 10-2 on the year. You make it all the way to the semifinals, and now you fast forward to where we are right now. I don't know about other people, but I have you as our number 1 team in 6A2 heading into this season. It's a pretty good turnaround for your program, Coach.
No, we appreciate it, and Michael, people have recognized that. Whenever you get into this, you just start installing some of your philosophy and your thoughts 2 years ago. And, that doesn't always go over well. It takes some time for some change. So all the credit goes to the kids. All they've taken is basically, when I look at coaching, you're only as good as your players. But the coaching side of it is taking good athletes and trying to get them to buy into what you do. And you can call it your philosophy. If you've been around coaching for a while, played the game of football, you kind of have an understanding of the non-negotiables I refer to that need to take place. But whenever that decision was made, those kids had a choice, and they chose to listen to this, what I call an idiot myself, okay? And I've dealt with it. And I say that somewhat funny, but I'm just being a little bit honest. Especially if you'd have looked at me the way they looked at me whenever we first started introducing some of these ideas, you think they were looking at an idiot. They didn't believe it all and everything else, but it come to fruition, Michael. So it's nothing more. People call it a cultural change. I just think it was a decision made by our kids that we want to be a winning program, and we're willing to do what it takes, and we want to listen to this guy, and he'll tell us and guide us to the right direction, and we have the ability to go do it. So the kids get all the credit. Glad that we have made that change. They've made that directional change as far as their mindset, and we're off and running. And now you can call us a football program.
Yeah, and let's talk about some of those kids, because you obviously have a very special senior class coming up this year. Those guys that were thrown into the fire early on in their careers. And, I think about guys like Caden McGee, who, started as a really good wide receiver and has turned himself into a really good two-way player, now committed to UNLV. And then that big offensive lineman up front, Wesley Harvey at the left tackle position, who also recently committed to TCU earlier this month. And you're talking about those two guys, and I know that there's, you mentioned that offensive line. It's a really strong unit across the board. But for those two in particular, from where they were 2 years ago to where they are now, light years difference.
Absolutely. And I said it takes good players. So you don't get opportunities to go get some D1 offers unless you have some resources, some physical attributes. Great kids too, by the way, on top of that. So there's no doubt you start with those two, and we're fortunate we got several. We could give Wesley a hard time to say at the high school level, out of our starting 5 offensive linemen, he may be number 5. Okay. But he's also 6'7", weighs 290. And our kids understand that's the reason why he may be getting more opportunities, because I'm going to recognize those other kids. That starting 5 will be all seniors. Wesley at the left tackle. And I say, as we go into camp, as we well know, Michael, camp can change a few things. We got some kids that are right behind them that are pushing them. Caleb Houston is probably our biggest, if you want to call it, surprise. He's a young man that you call it a walk-on whenever you start practice a couple of years ago and you're 2-8, and he comes out about the 3rd practice and he weighs a whole heck of a lot and he can't run 50 yards. And now he weighs 285, squats well over, 500 pounds, athletic as all get out, big kid, 6'2", 6'3", 290, starting at our left guard position, our center, Braden Henry. Dad was a great rougher. Granddaddy was an All-American rougher. Just another great football player as a center. Again, another 3-year start. Would be his 3rd year to start. Started at left tackle whenever he was a sophomore, moved into center last year. Is a great center for us. On the right guard position, we got Vernon Pepiakta. Okay. Pepiakitah. I said that because that made me feel smart. Took me a long time to get that one. Vernon's one of the more talented kids around, man. He's a 6'1", 280-pound kid, runs like a defensive back, very, very athletic kid, will play both sides of the football. And Tion Brewer, another senior, will be the right tackle. Now, those things are all off the chains, but that's a group that we're really hanging our hat on. And if you look into what we did last year, when we got down to the semis, you're probably going to say, well, Coach, you did kind of hit a roadblock. It was a good roadblock. Choctaw and Stillwater were the 2 teams we lost to after the end of the year. And both those losses came because we were not ready up front, both sides of football. And I think that's probably the one thing that why Michael has us up top and other people think now that this program is ready to try to make the next move is because now we can play with you up front.
And the guy that they're going to be blocking for, that quarterback, another reason why the Ruffers are one of the preseason favorites, Jamarian Ficklin, otherwise known in Muskogee as Bird. We put out our preseason all-state teams this week, and Bird was our preseason first-team quarterback. In my opinion, he's one of the best QBs in the state. His progression from 2 years ago to now. I mean, last season, the jump that he made was outstanding. As just a sophomore last year, now he's a junior and he's ready to go.
Yeah, this should be, as you well know, Michael, been around it. We do always have programs that have to play a freshman here and there and a sophomore, but the big-time programs usually don't have to do that. So we're really saying this is Bird's first year that he really should be, starting at that position, but yet he's done it for 2 years. So all the reps and all the experience he has now, and now getting the opportunity to go into his junior year healthy, bigger, stronger, legit 6'2", 185-pound kid. Michael, and I'm just so happy that I'm not. Sometimes I'll feel dumb whenever somebody wants to question it, and we're a little biased that he's the best quarterback in the state. I've just been around a long time, and this kid's he's kind of special, man. He throws good, a deep ball, accurate ball, lefty, good size, athletic. A lot of people want to go ahead and put him over on that side. He's just a great athlete. No, this is a quarterback. He has all the intangibles. He's our leader of our football team. So he's come light years. Of course, whenever you start as a freshman, throw for 2,000 yards, throws for 2,800 yards last year. You just got big expectations for him. You mentioned Caden McGee coming back. Caden has been nicknamed Big Play. McGee, and when you catch 15 touchdowns, and you caught 30 balls all year and half of them were touchdowns, that's a pretty big playmaker. With the other kids going along with him, with Jaden Swanson, who's another looks cut off his head and he looks just like Caden. They both are 4'4" type kids, can burn over the top. I feel like one of the best players we have in the whole football team is Andre Beasley, coming back off his sophomore year with well over, right at 1,200 yards of offense between rushing the football and catching. Lots of targets. And two big boys I want to throw in there that I think are really going to make the difference in our football team this year. Both of them, again, if you cut their heads off, they look like twins too. They're both 6'1", 235 pounds, and Zervon Washington and Anthony Watson, two tight end H-back types that's going to allow us to be very, very multiple with our offense, Michael.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time, man. Like I said, I'm going to see you in week 2 for that big matchup against Carl Albert. Really excited about what you guys have building in Muskogee. Again, save me a spot at Rutherford Village. And you mentioned Mike Dunn and Carl Albert, and he is our next guest. So, Coach, thanks so much for sitting down with me today. Good luck as we open up fall camp. We'll see you early on in September. And coming up next on Oklahoma Sports Scene, Carl Albert head coach Mike Dunn, plus his star running back Xavier Robinson, joins the program here with our high school football preview show on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
Around the clock, throughout eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
Indoor football is back, Tulsa, and season tickets are going quick. Don't miss Saturday night entertainment starting as low as $9 a month. The Tulsa Oilers indoor football team kicks off again in March, Saturday nights, 7 p.m. BOK Center. Season tickets are on sale now. Go to TulsaOilersFootball.com. That's TulsaOilersFootball.com. Get your season tickets now. Don't miss your chance to experience the fast-paced, helmet-hitting, pad-popping excitement of professional indoor football. TulsaOilersFootball.com.
Hi, I'm the Big O, Jerry Ostrowski, former University of Tulsa football player as well as Buffalo Bill, and you're watching the Oklahoma Sports Scene right here.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
The Remington Park Thoroughbred season has plenty of winning action with many big stakes dates set for you on the calendar. The richest race of the season is on the only Sunday of the season, Oklahoma Derby Day, September 24th. The Grade 3 $400,000 Derby headlines a brilliant card that also features the Grade 3 $200,000 Remington Park Oaks. The Derby Day program begins at 3 p.m. and features the annual wine tasting festival along with a hat and tie style contest. Remington Park's Oklahoma Derby Day, Sunday, September 24th, 3 p.m.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene. It's our high school football preview as we continue the Prep Redzone Takeover here this week on Oklahoma Sports Scene. I'm Michael Knight, now being joined by a couple Carl Albert Titans. They are the reigning 5A champions. First, their head coach, Mike Dunn, and he is also joined by his reigning player of the year, running back Xavier Robinson, also committed to OU. Coach, let's start with you as we wrap up the offseason and we start taking a look ahead at the 2023 campaign. How has the offseason gone? It was pretty busy over there at Carl Albert.
Yeah, it was. Man, we've had a great offseason. We took a week off after we won the championship last year. We took 1 week off. We maxed out, and then we came back and we hit the ground running. I've said it all along. Everybody always wants to know that the first question is, are you guys going to run it back? And all I can ever say is I think our guys have definitely put themselves in a place to be successful. Offseason was great. A lot of PRs, a lot of guys that put up some crazy numbers in the weight room and out on the track. I think our speed's better this year. I know we're stronger. We went to we had a good spring ball. We had a good team camp. All in all, it was really, really good. And then, followed it up with a really strong summer. I think one of the best summers. It's my third summer, and it's definitely up there as one of the best ones that I've been around. And our coach Cam, he's our running back coach. He runs our summer stuff, and he did an unreal job with these guys. And I think he'd tell you the same thing, that our guys definitely put themselves in a spot to have a good year.
Xavier, I want to go to you. As I mentioned, you are the reigning player of the year. You got that accolade from several outlets, including ourselves at Prep Redzone. Going back to last season, what were your expectations before your junior campaign? Because you absolutely shattered records that had been standing at Carl Albert for a while, helped them lead your team to a state championship. What were your expectations back before last season began?
Just going out, being able to prove what I could do. Like when I showcase my size, like I said multiple times, I've been doubted, getting recruited at other positions. The position I wanted to play was, running back. So really just going out there, prove what I could do with my size, speed wise, agility wise, shiftiness, and, really going out there, being able to showcase it all.
And then you mentioned your recruitment. You were able to lock in your spot at the running back position earlier this summer with OU. You committed to the Sooners earlier this summer. So you really kicked off a busy summer for OU in terms of that 2024 class. Why were the Sooners the team for you in the end?
Looking at I look past football, opportunities, for incoming freshmen, getting opportunities at internships, going out making money, that can help you besides football in case, football's never there. And also in my position, seeing the way Coach DeMurray, coaches the backs. Now looking at him, like I said, his legacy and what he done, but how, he coaches his players and, the great leadership, the support system they got going on up there at OU with, the fans, their walkthrough, seeing their walkthrough, seeing the support system and opportunities there.
Coach, going back to you, there's no doubt about the talent that's on this Carl Albert team. And I've made no secret about how special I think that 2025 class is. How do you keep this team and how do you keep guys like Xavier and the others that are so special? How do you keep them humble and hungry as we look at the start of this new season?
Well, I think we do a good job at Carl Albert of keeping the main thing is what I would say. Our kids know that we're trying to win state championships every single year. We feel like, with the character development stuff that we do and constantly preaching, the right way and the Titan way. I think it helps with all that stuff, and it's great because these guys, they're already humble, and that's a credit to their parents and the people that have helped raise them. And all these guys, I get, people hear me say this all the time as well, but when you come to our weight room, when you come to a workout, when you come to a practice, the hardest workers are these guys that also have these accolades. You can't really tell the difference between, who's this kid, who's that kid. They all work the same. It makes things a lot easier too when you're guys that have already had these offers and have already, got some of their future stuff set. They're still working like they're starving for their first one, and so I think all of our kids really celebrate each other's success and accolades. And I think everybody knows that, another thing that we really talk a lot about is the individual success comes from team success. Teams want to come and recruit Carl Albert because they know they're going to get really good kids first and foremost. They're going to get kids that know how to work. They're going to get kids that know how to take care of their grades. They're going to get kids that are good human beings that no matter what happens to them in college, they're going to be a valuable asset to a program. And so for us, we keep the main thing and make sure that we keep our guys focused on the main prize. We want all of our guys to go play college ball. And we know it's not a reality for everybody, but we always tell our guys, hey, if you really want it that bad, we'll find a way for you to do that, but make sure that you're always a team first guy. So that's one way to create that kind of culture for sure.
Xavier, back to you, man. When you look at this upcoming season and I look at your guys' schedule, there's some really good games on that schedule, especially early on. I know I already have the Muskogee game circled on my calendar. I know I'll be there for that one, number 1 versus number 1 in that matchup. When you look at your schedule for this season, is there a game in particular that you already have circled on your calendar that you're excited to play in?
Most definitely, it's every single game, because, with the standard of Carl Albert, every game and the standard and the legacy of Carl Albert of what's been going on in the past, every game is most definitely like a rivalry game playing against every school. So I'll say almost every game we take it one game at a time.
And then for you, I know that, every game is one step closer to more records at Carl Albert. A fantastic junior season from you. Looking forward to what you do for an encore this year as a senior. Coach, as always, I appreciate your time. Xavier, congratulations again on a fantastic junior season. Good luck this fall. And coming up next here on Oklahoma Sports Scene, we continue the Prep Red Zone Takeover back at Bricktown Brewery with the defending 4A state champions, the Wagner Bulldogs, and their head coach, Dale Condick, joins me next here on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
There are 3 things you need to know about Bricktown Brewery. We never stop obsessing over the quality of our fresh, made-from-scratch food. From pizza and burgers to salad and seafood, there's something for everyone. Our beer selection is second to none. Between handcrafted Bricktown beers and local craft favorites, you're sure to find one you'll love. We can't wait to serve you. Great food, local beer, and truly friendly service. Bricktown Brewery, we love what we do, and it shows.
The Remington Park Thoroughbred season has plenty of winning action with many big stakes dates set for you on the calendar. The richest race of the season is on the only Sunday of the season, Oklahoma Derby Day, September 24th. The Grade 3 $400,000 Derby headlines a brilliant card that also features the Grade 3 $200,000 Remington Park Oaks. The Derby Day program begins at 3 p.m. and features the annual wine tasting festival along with a hat and tie style contest. Remington Park's Oklahoma Derby Day, Sunday, September 24th, 3 p.m.
Tulsa Oilers hockey at the BOK Center. The ultimate experience of hockey and entertainment. Save big on season tickets today. Full season tickets starting as low as $17 per month for all 36 home games. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers hockey.
Hi, I'm Dr. Caleb Nelly with Tulsa Bone and Joint in Owasso.
And I'm Dr. Ian Goodman with Tulsa Bone and Joint in Owasso, and we are your team physicians for the Owasso Rams.
I'm Zach McGinty.
I'm Kate Grady.
I'm Destry Millsap. And we are the athletic trainers for the Owasso Rams.
Here's some of the services that we provide in the Tulsa Bone and Joint Athletic Training Facility.
And we welcome you back to Oklahoma Sports Scene here from the Bricktown Brewery on 71st, just east of Woodland Hills Mall, where we are every other week here to shoot Oklahoma Sports Scene. I'm Michael Knight, filling in this week for Chris Lincoln, who's down in Oklahoma City, getting inducted into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. And another guy who might be in the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame before it's all said and done is this guy, Wagner head coach Dale Condick. Coach, I want to start with a question. When I was thinking of this interview and thinking of sitting down with you today, we're going to talk a lot of football, but for you personally, you've spent almost 2 decades now in Wagner. You've won a lot of ball games, you've won a lot of championships, but the question had to have come up in the last 2 decades, can I go somewhere else? Can I do it at another program? I'm sure you've had opportunities. Why have you stayed at Wagner so long?
I think, for one, I've raised my kids in Wagner, and my wife and I both were not a big fan of moving them. They were all in, my 2 boys. One of them, Austin, is actually our strength and conditioning coach and the inside linebacker coach. And then after him, my younger son, Colin, played offensive line for us for the 2020 championship. Austin was a part of 3 championships, and they were in great groups of kids. They loved the school, and the school system was good to us, and that was probably a big part of it. And I've got a lot of ownership in it. And I won't say I haven't ever kind of looked around a little and thought about it, but to assume that pastures are greener somewhere else, I think would be pretty naive. But I wouldn't say that I never think about could I accomplish some things and start over. And I will soon come to a crossroads of what I want to do next. It happens. It's the natural progression of things. I'm still young enough to have good energy, but this will be year 19. So still got a daughter in school, so she's going to be a junior this year. She plays softball, tennis, and loves Wagner, and she would have nothing to do with the idea of leaving Wagner. She loves it. Her family loves it. So we'll definitely be staying through her career.
Well, as we head into the 2023 season, we can't talk Wagner football without bringing up the end of last year, the spectacular run to a state championship. Everybody knows about that championship game, what you guys overcame in the regular season against Cushing to beat them, the way you beat them. You ever still find yourself just pinching yourself a little bit like, yeah, that happened. We did that.
It was pretty magical. It was, we've had some unbelievable experiences, games that we've won in last seconds, championship games we've won in the last second, but to be able to accomplish that against a team like that with the young team that we had was, it's still probably, I've had some pretty big highlights along the way, but probably the most unexpected, because with all, Cushing had a heck of a team.
Yeah.
They were worthy, probably a team worthy of winning a 4A state championship, but yeah, it's still, when we start talking, I start smiling. So, but we have to get over that and get ready to start over. And I feel like our guys are probably more ready for that than me. I still kind of lingered on it a little bit. But
now I know you got some serious star power returning to make a return to that championship game, and we have to start there when we talk about the 23 Wagner Bulldogs. Whit Edwards returns for his senior year. Alex Shield Knight, a junior who is turned into one of the top linebacker prospects in the state. What do you expect from your stars in Whit and Alex this fall?
Well, I've seen nothing but improvement from all those guys this offseason. A really dramatic improvement for a lot of them. Alex Shield Knight, for one, it's completely changing his body and his physical ability with how hard he works. You combine that with his talent. You got like 9 or 10 big-time offers. Whit, I think, has 16 offers. It's the most college attention that I've been a part of with those two guys, and probably definitely the most attention I've seen a young guy like Alex get, being a 20-25 guy. So it's really brought a lot of interest to our program. And then our quarterback, inside linebacker, Kel Charbonneau, he has come a long ways since that championship. He had a great game. He's just physically bigger, stronger, and a lot better right now than he was at that point in time.
Yeah, and I wanted to lead into Kale next because you made the move last offseason, moving Gabe Rodriguez into more of an athlete role on the offense. Kale takes over at quarterback. What are your expectations now for him going into another year? He knows what to expect now as QB1 of this offense.
Well, we knew it was the right decision. We knew there'd be growing pains, and there were growing pains along the way, but I've known Kel his whole life. He spent a lot of time with me, and his family are great friends of our family, so I know what's inside of him. I know, he has some moxie that you're just born with, and so we rode that, and it definitely paid off for us at the end. And I think this year you're going to see him start out a lot hotter than we. He's going to pick up ahead of where he finished last year, which he had a heck of a game in the championship. And I've said we're going to throw it a lot more than Del Conte teams have ever thrown it. I mean, I'm looking at probably I think we'll have a shot to have our first 3,000-yard passer. So we'll see how that goes. No pressure, Kale. But
yeah, no kidding. That would be a first. That would be a first. You used to having those 2,000-yard rushers. Now we're changing things up a little bit. Speaking of changing things up, we know about the stars, Alex, Whit, Kale. Who are some of the other players? I know it's just the first day of practice as we sit here and film this, but who are some of the players who have stood out who will be breaking out this fall?
Well, boy, we had a lot of guys go to a lot of camps and really get themselves out there and expose themselves to some colleges. Keaton Cole, returning leading tackler, inside backer, runs really well, had a great summer. Gavin Miller started for us at outside linebacker, and we've seen some great things from him on the offensive side of the ball. We'll use him a lot more on offense. And then we have one returning offensive lineman, but he had a great summer, continues to progress, a 20-25 kid, Dax Griffin. Dax is a 6'4", 285-pound prospect that I think has big potential. So, that Matt Swanson, another guy that I think has great potential. I had a great year last year, really came on strong late. He'll be a junior, and I think we're going to see him really turn the corner this year as well.
Well, Coach, as always, man, I appreciate talking to you, talking football.
It's good to be here.
And the Wagner Bulldogs. You're my number one team heading into the 2023 season, and I'll say this to your face and in front of everybody here. I got it wrong last year. I had Cushing from start to finish. I got it wrong. A lot of people got it wrong, though. The Bulldogs with a magical 2022 season. They're going to try to repeat this fall. Coach, always good talking ball with you.
You too, Michael. Good to be here.
He's Dale Condick, the head coach of the Wagner Bulldogs. Coming up next, Chris Lincoln is on this week's edition of Oklahoma Sports Scene, and he'll be joined by Dale Day from Remington Park for a preview of their upcoming racing season right here on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
As the sun rises over eastern Oklahoma, we are devoted to one thing: improving the health of our communities, our home. We are your friends, your neighbors. We are the people of St. Francis.
Tulsa Oilers hockey at the BOK Center. The ultimate experience of hockey and entertainment. Save big on season tickets today. Full season tickets starting as low as $17 per month for all 36 home games. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers hockey.
There are 3 things you need to know about Bricktown Brewery. We never stop obsessing over the quality of our fresh, made-from-scratch food. From pizza and burgers to salad and seafood, there's something for everyone. Our beer selection is second to none. Between handcrafted Bricktown beers and local craft favorites, you're sure to find one you'll love. We can't wait to serve you. Great food, local beer, and truly friendly service. Bricktown Brewery, we love what we do, and it shows.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
Well, it's almost post time at Remington Park for the 2023 Thoroughbred Fall Racing season. Dale Day is joining us now from the racetrack there, the voice of Remington Park. Dale, looking forward to the big 67-day meet running through the 15th of December.
Yeah, we'll cover the final almost full 4 months of the calendar year, as we always do with our thoroughbred season. We're looking forward to it. Finally get a little bit of a break in the weather. Like everybody in Oklahoma has been scorching hot for the last week or maybe 10 days. Here early this week, though, it's cooled off a bit, and looks like the long-range forecast we might catch a break too by opening night on the 18th. So we're hopeful the temperatures will be lower rather than higher.
Boy, look ahead to that thoroughbred meeting. I got to go back to Cordo's meet just completed. Always a great meet. Championship horses, big purses. Just a great meet. You just wrapped up in the summer here.
Yeah, the corridor season that people don't realize, that's the best of the best here in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma for about 3.5 months to start our year. And many of those horses go on to great things, of course, later on in the year at Rio Dosa, trying to compete for the All-American Futurity. And we'll see horses out there battling for that again. Horse that won the Remington Park Futurity back in the quarter meet in April, Dark Enemy, just absolutely crushed the field in the Rainbow Futurity at Rio Dosa last month. So expect big things from that 2-year-old filly. If she can get out of the gate, she's probably unbeatable because she won that last race by about 3 or 4 lengths, which is just unheard of in quarter horse racing.
Well, what's the stall applications look like? How full is the barn area?
We're around 1,300 horses right now. Our capacity is a little more than 1,400, so that's very good. Usually by early to mid-August, the horses arrive a little bit slower than that. So I don't know what the reasoning is this year, but we're glad they're here, and we're glad they're working forwardly in their preseason training to get ready for opening night. So by the time we get to the end of August, we'll probably be at capacity, and that is a very good thing.
Yeah, and our race fans are certainly cognizant of the fact we've had some issues with horse safety, and Remington Park's had a great reputation, though, and your track in good condition.
Yes, and it's already, we've completed the summer renovation. We usually put on the racetrack. We usually peel back the top layers and add some other materials to make it, re-cushion the cushion, if you will, I guess. This year, a little bit more was done than we normally do every summer. We actually went all the way down to make sure the sloping, the degrees, the banking, if you will, around the entire racetrack was where we wanted to be. And that project lasted a little bit longer than we anticipated because we did have, despite what we've been talking about high temperatures lately, a very wet early summer. So every time we would do a couple days of work on the racetrack, it would rain really well for another day or so. So that would slow things down. So we were a little bit delayed in opening the racetrack for morning training, but we got through all of that, and the track's in very good shape. So hopefully everything will be ready to go, and things will be perfect.
August 18th, opening night. Most everybody shipped in by now, I'm sure. And how the workouts going on the track?
Very, very good. When we opened for training a little more than a week ago, we figured we had about 800 or 900 horses on the grounds, and talked to the clockers after that first day of light workouts was happening. We're not allowed to have an official time workout. They're allowed to go out and jog or gallop. And she anticipated or expected that maybe of the 800 or 900 we had on the grounds, all but maybe 100 of them made their way to the racetrack that first morning. So it's been very, very busy. The timed workouts have now started, and the clockers are earning their keep, tracking horses for about 4 to 4.5 hours every morning.
Well, what attracts the top horsemen, trainers, jockeys, owners, of course, is purses. How do the purses look for the 2023 fall?
We expect purses to be right about where we were at the end of last year, somewhere right around the high $200,000 to low $300,000 average per race date range, and that's a good thing. We're not having to go lower. We'd rather be even or try to trend higher. So we've got a lot of things going on with that. Other things happening racing wise, we look forward to, of course, Oklahoma Derby Day, the first major event day after the opening. Takes place on the final and only Sunday of the season on September 24th. So we expect a big afternoon then. Also, the night before that is our Oklahoma Horse Racing Hall of Fame here at Remington Park induction, our first induction since 2017 that we've held. Of course, we had to back off a bit due to the COVID situation for a couple of years. Now we're going to try to ramp things back up. A nice class this year. Welder recently retired, the all-time winningest horse in Remington Park history, will lead the way there for the horses. Danny Caldwell, Remington Park's all-time leading owner, will be going in. We'll also induct Shotgun Cowboy, only the second Oklahoma bred horse to win the Oklahoma Derby, joining Clever Trevor, of course. He's also a retired millionaire. And then two other horses, I should say, from yesteryear. Slideshow, who almost finished an undefeated career here at Remington Park. She won 10 every 11 races here. And also Darrell, a great sprinter from the early 1990s. He'll be going in. An interesting story on him. He earned a little more than $500,000 in his racing career back in the early 1990s. And nowadays you think, well, that's not much. But if you took what it was worth from 1990s 2 and 3, I guess, to what it would be worth now, he'd probably have career earnings closer to $2 million. So the money was not near what it was back then as it is now. So he was a tremendous sprinter and really a joy to watch. So he'll be going in as one of the horses from the past.
Well, Dale, who are some of the high-profile owners, trainers, jockeys will be part of the fall meet?
We're expecting the same group that's been dominating the last few years. Carl Broberg for trainer, and his ownership group, Enzo Athletics, will be right there towards the top. Steve Asmussen, of course, the Hall of Famer, multiple Hall of Famer now, and had a great weekend this past weekend winning the West Virginia Derby. He'll be here with his normal string and contingent. Danny Caldwell, I mentioned him a moment ago, the all-time leading owner. He'll have a full barn and ready to go with his campaigners. Now, we did lose top jockey from last year, Christian Torres. He moved on after having a very great Oaklawn season in the spring, winning that title there. He's now racing on the Kentucky circuit, so I don't expect to see him back except for maybe on an Oklahoma Derby Day or something along those lines. So David Cabrera, who last year was coming back off of an injury situation and did not have a year he's normally used to having, he looks to be the big dog back once again. Now that he's completely healthy, he's been winning races and doing very well up around the Kentucky area and also in Louisiana. So I expect big things from David Cabrera coming back a full plus year after suffering some injuries in early 2022.
All right, Dale, give us the numbers, the post times, the dates again for the Thoroughbred season at Remington Park.
Opening night, Friday, August 18th, and then Saturday, August 19th to wrap up the opening weekend. 7 p.m. start time normally. Once we get into our regular flow of things, it'll be Wednesday through Saturday at 7 p.m. The Oklahoma Derby Day on Sunday, September 24th, the only Sunday, will start at 3 p.m., and then we'll roll on through the rest of the season. Of course, Springboard Mile will wrap it up on the final night of the season and on Friday, December 15th for the Springboard. Of course, that is a Kentucky Derby qualifying points race for the 2024 Derby. So a lot happening. The older horses and 3-year-olds dominate early, then the 2-year-olds take over the spotlight for the second half. So we expect a great season, and hopefully everybody can come out at least once to 5 times, if not more.
And it's still the best bargain in sports, isn't it?
Free admission, free parking. Can't beat that. And come on in and try to win everything back that you plan and more. Pay for your dinner and maybe pay for the next go-around too.
Dale, your voice ready to go. How many seasons now for you to You're the voice of Remington Park calling races now, Dale.
My first full season was in 2004, so I guess this would make it the 20th year I've done it.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I am on total number of races. I'm somewhere north of the 20,000 race mark now. I need to go back and try to figure all that out, I guess. But it's been a while. It's been a fast 20 years. So I never thought once I started working at Remington Park, I'd be calling races. And then I never thought once I started calling races, I'd have the privilege to be doing it for this long. So I'm very blessed.
Yeah, nobody does it better. Dale Day, thank you for joining us on Oklahoma Sports Scene. We look forward every week to your Remington Report here on Oklahoma Sports Scene. And Michael and I will be right back with more of the show right after this break.
The Remington Park Thoroughbred season has plenty of winning action with many big stakes dates set for you on the calendar. The richest race of the season is on the only Sunday of the season, Oklahoma Derby Day, September 24th. The Grade 3 $400,000 Derby headlines a brilliant card that also features the Grade 3 $200,000 Remington Park Oaks. The Derby Day program begins at 3 p.m. and features the annual wine tasting festival along with a hat and tie style contest. Remington Park's Oklahoma Derby Day, Sunday, September 24th, 3 p.m.
My name is Dr. Brittany Els. Here at Tulsa Bone and Joint Urgent Care, we treat a lot of athletes for wrist injuries, anything from sprains and fractures, elbow and shoulder injuries. Right here on site, we have the ability to do x-rays for your student athlete. We also have the ability to put them in a wrist brace or a knee brace if needed. And we have the ability to refer them to an orthopedic surgeon for follow-up care. We're an orthopedic urgent care and we have a walk-in availability. You don't need an appointment. One of the things that makes our urgent care unique is that it is physician run. We appreciate being able to care for your student athletes.
Tulsa Oilers hockey at the BOK Center. The ultimate experience of hockey and entertainment. Save big on season tickets today. Full season tickets starting as low as $17 per month for all 36 home games. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. That's TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers hockey.
There are 3 things you need to know about Bricktown Brewery. We never stop obsessing over the quality of our fresh, made-from-scratch food. From pizza and burgers to salad and seafood, there's something for everyone. Our beer selection is second to none. Between handcrafted Bricktown beers and local craft favorites, you're sure to find one you'll love. We can't wait to serve you. Great food, local beer, and truly friendly service. Bricktown Brewery, we love what we do, and it shows.
Welcome back to Oklahoma Sports Scene from the Bricktown Brewery on 71st Street, just east of Woodland Hills Mall, where we record Oklahoma Sports Scene every other week. Next week, we're back at the Bricktown Brewery on Brookside on Peoria, so be sure to come in and check out the live recording of Oklahoma Sports Scene every single Monday from 5 to 6:30, whether we're here on 71st or there on Brookside. We'd love for you to come out and check out the great menu items that Bricktown Brewery offers. From their new menu items with the hatch chilies, they have a great August menu, great beers on tap as well, and the service is phenomenal. So whether it's here on 71st or over on Brookside, we encourage you to come check out Bricktown Brewery. And I want to thank Chris Lincoln as we wrap up this edition of Oklahoma Sports Scene. I wouldn't be here in this seat without him. Congratulations to Chris once again on his induction to the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Well-deserved honor for him. And then I'm looking forward to hearing all about how this week in Oklahoma City went when he returns to Oklahoma Sports Scene next week for our show, once again on Brookside on South Peoria. So for Chris Lincoln, again, thank you to him for letting me take over with Prep Red Zone this edition of Oklahoma Sports Scene. And as he would tell you every single week, be a good sport.